Okay, so we're back for part three. Where I was leaving off, or where I left off, was talking about being your authentic self and presenting that to people so that they can find you trustworthy. It is now we get into professionalism. So I'll talk about some things that are kind of pet peeves of mine that I see with other conjure folk or root workers. So the first thing that you're going to be, once you start doing this you can either get a website set up, or you work through a place like eBay or Etsy or something like that. You're going to start getting a lot of emails, and it is extremely important that you answer every single one of those emails. And it's extremely important that you answer them in a professional manner. That is with a greeting, hello, so-and-so. Make sure that you have read their name and that you use it. This is all very basic stuff that I learned in probably fourth grade with learning how to write a letter. But a lot of people don't seem to know how to do this anymore. So you write a proper email in letter form. Hello, so-and-so. Thank you for contacting me. Address their issue then. If it is something, if they're speaking to you about a death in the family, give your condolences. Then give them suggestions on items that they could possibly use themselves at home if they want to approach it from that aspect. And then you can inquire if they're looking for a service to be performed on their behalf. I do not like to push services on people. I do not like when people contact me to say, well, this is what you need to buy from me and let me do for you. I try my hardest to let people choose for themselves, to let my clients choose for themselves and figure out if they want to attempt the work on their own or if it is something that they would like my help with. You close your email with, thank you again for contacting me. I look forward to working with you and hearing from you. Signed, so-and-so. I see a lot of people writing text speak emails. I get them daily from potential clients, and I see a lot of people on there who I'm not going to say they're not professional root workers, because it's not my place to discern whether somebody is a professional or not. But I see a lot of things that look very unprofessional on websites and blogs and Facebook that people write. And if you want to be taken seriously in this business, which is extremely difficult to be taken seriously in because everybody thinks we're all, woo-woo, snake oil salesmen, charlatans over here, you have to be you got to show up presentable. You need to sound presentable. You got to have your stuff together, because everybody is already making fun of you behind your back. People do not take spiritual workers seriously. They don't take tarot card readers seriously. This is, I don't think that shouldn't be any surprise to anybody, me saying that. I hope that I hope that it's not, but these types of professions are jokes to other people. I still have a difficult time telling people. We go to a lot of events, fundraisers and things like that for different things around our city. And I still have a difficult time telling people what I do, because, I know I'm being judged. And people are typically more curious than not, but there's a lot of people who want nothing to do with me after I tell them what I do, because it's devil's work or, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people have different names for it. So you need to be prepared for that, and you need to come across as professional as possible. And that means if you are at any point someplace where you will have to introduce yourself and tell somebody what your profession is, you should look professional as well. I've written a blog about that, and I had I'm sure that I offended some people with that about looking professional, but if I'm showing up to do a lecture at a pagan pride day, I'm not going to show up in a cape with, a pentacle on the size of a clock, because, that is not going to help anybody take me seriously. What I'm going to show up in is casual business attire. So anytime that you are doing a lecture, if you get to that point, or if you are meeting with clients, at your home to do readings or to do services for them, you need to dress like a professional. Again, these are things that are kind of my pet peeves, and you can take the advice if you want to or not. But I know that if I'm showing up to somebody's house for a reading and they're in stained sweatpants and sweatshirt, that doesn't tell me that they're a professional and that they have tried hard for me to impress me or to make them come across as a professional to me. So those are just little things to pay attention to when you get into this. Again, answer every single email, and sometimes emails get really tedious. Sometimes a client will, email you over several weeks. But you need to pay attention to each one, because this is typically, if somebody emails you, they are interested in purchasing a service or product. So you don't want to ignore that. My typical day, somebody was asking me about my typical day, so I'm going to do a quick rundown. I'm going to try not to leave anything out because I got long days. So I start waking up around 6. 7 o'clock, I am up making my kids' lunches for school. I have a 6 and a 7-year-old. I make their lunches for school. I pick their clothes out. I help my son getting dressed because he's doesn't like to dress himself. So after I am done with that, I automatically sit down. I print out invoices from the days for my orders. If I have services that people have purchased, they immediately go into the planner, and I'm going to try not to like flash this too much so you can like read people's names, but this is what my planner looks like every week here. So when somebody is moved or crossed out, it's either I completed it or I had to move their appointment. So this is every week. That's another thing about being a professional. You get yourself a planner or a calendar or a schedule, and you're writing everybody on there. Everybody gets an appointment. I do 2 appointments a day. After I print out my invoices, then I get them organized between eBay, my website, my IndieMade site. I answer all of the emails. Sometimes that's, I would say, about a dozen in the morning and a dozen at night. I spend a couple hours doing that. I try to leave them for the evening because in the morning I have to start one of my appointments. So I would say, about 8 o'clock, I'm starting my first appointment of the day. So I'm setting my altar. I've already taken time before that to clean up my kitchen and prepare my workspace. I'm setting my altar. I'm getting the first service going. I then have 2 hours to devote to that. If I'm doing orders that day, I give it a break at 10 o'clock, which is when my assistant comes in, and I start on orders. If it's a day devoted strictly to appointments, which this is very key if you're going to start doing this and you're running a website that sells items, is that you are going to have to designate time for days that are specifically devoted to services and days that are specifically devoted to orders, or else you're going to start running out of time. Time management is very key for this, because for me, this is a very, very busy job. So I would start my orders. I work on orders from 10 until about 7 at night. On the days I do orders, we usually I try to prepare something for dinner ahead of time. I try to either throw something in the crock pot at 9 or 10 in the morning so it's done, or occasionally we'll have a pizza or something. My kids like to order pizza. So I eat a super fast dinner. I've already done all my shipping labels by that point. That takes me about an hour from 6 to 7. I eat a super fast dinner. My husband puts the kids down. I go back to starting the appointment for that evening, which is at 8 o'clock. So these would be shorter services like candle vigils, which can take anywhere, which I spend about 3 hours at a time on, I would say, per day. And the vigil, even though I sell them as 1-day services, they can go for 2 or 3 days. Then I go back to answering my emails. Sometimes I have 4 hours of emails a day. But you can't, making people feel ignored is not a way to have a successful business. So you have to answer each and every inquiry. So my day ends very late. easily put in a 12-hour day every day. So if you think that, if you want to be a professional in this business, if you think that you're just going to start out, and I guess, it's up to you. If you didn't want to work as much as I do, you could certainly turn people away. I hate turning people away. I will overbook myself. I will work for 3 weeks straight. 7 days a week in order to not turn people away, because I believe I'm called to serve, and I cannot stand telling somebody that I'm too busy for them. That is just the worst thing in the world, and I don't ever do it. So I fit everybody in. And I guess if you didn't want to take on that much business, then you could tell people no. That's something I have a hard time doing. So on the days that I just do services, I will go. I typically, I try to go to the gym a few times a week. I believe that taking care of your body physically is very important. A lot of people ask me about how I take care of myself, and how I'm able to do so much work. And I think a lot of it is diet and exercise. I try to go to the gym between 2 and 4 times a week, at least an hour each time. I run. Besides that, I also eat a lot of raw fruit and vegetables. I eat very little meat. I don't eat processed foods. So I think that has a lot to do with maintaining my energy. I see a lot of people around me are very tired, and I think it has to do with their lack of exercise and their diets. So that's going to kind of seem like I'm going off on a tangent here, but I'm really not, because you have to take care of your whole self if you're going to take care of other people. And diet and exercise is a huge part of that. You have to be healthy, and your mind has to be top performance all the time in order to do this work. And it can be draining physically and mentally and emotionally. So you need any advantage you can get. Diet and exercise is extremely important. Days that I have reserved specifically for longer services, which I'll do about 3 hours at a time on, and then I take a break, because I am a person that believes you need to give time for the spirits to get in there and work it with you. I don't believe that I have to sit in front of the candle that I'm burning for this person. Like, say I'm doing a novena for somebody, which is a 9-day service. I don't believe I got to sit here for 9 days in front of that thing. To me, it feels a lot like call and response. I don't know if you've ever been in a church that does that, but it's like call and response. So like your pastor will yell out something, and then your congregation answers back. You yell out something, you yell out amen or hallelujah or praise Jesus or something. I apply that to my spiritual work. Mm-hmm. I put out there what I got to put out there, and then I let the spirits come back with me with what they need to tell me, or what their encouragement, their energy, their power. So I work for 2 or 3 hours, and I'll give it a rest. And during that time of rest, I will answer emails. I'll start gathering the things necessary for the next working, things like that. I'll make sure that I take breaks to eat regularly. And then I do this from, like I said, about 10 in the morning till about 10 at night. So it's another 12-hour day. And you have to make sure you take breaks. I think the people online who are getting like super drained, I think maybe they're just like going full force and trying to, I see some people talk about doing like 3 or 4 appointments in a day. And that's too much. I don't know how you could possibly be giving enough attention to each of your clients if you're stacking 3 or 4 workings in a day. I'll do it with short ones if they're just candle vigils. If somebody has asked me for emergency work and they know that I'm squeezing them in between 2 other appointments, which I always be upfront about, because some people don't want you to do that. I haven't ever had anybody turn me down, but I can imagine that it would happen. Be upfront about your appointments. Tell people, I tell people all the time, I can't get you in for 7 days. I can't get you in for 9 days. And they take the appointment anyway, So, you have to budget your time, and you have to be really disciplined. You have to have a schedule. You got to take care of your body. And I'm sure I'll probably go more into this. I'm sure people are going to have other questions. I know there were questions about, protecting yourself and things like that, during workings, and there were some other areas people wanted me to touch on, but I've talked a lot for today, so I'm sure you guys are tired of it. If you have any specific questions relating to this, the professionalism of root work, or being a professional conjure woman, or conjure man in some of your cases, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm happy to touch on any inquiries that you all have. I really enjoy doing the videos. I would appreciate if you would share them with people. If you have Facebook pages that you're a member of, or if you have a blog and you want to put my videos on there, that would be great. You can always contact me through my shop. It's www.shop.conjuredcardia.com. You can contact me through there about anything. I'm also on Facebook under Conjured Cardia, so feel free to join my page there. I post a lot of good stuff. And thank you all for watching, and have a blessed week. Bye.